It's the first track off one of the greatest metal records of all time, and it's been making us better players for over 30 years. But why should we learn this tune? Let's talk about that. Hey kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. Over my many years as a guitar teacher and touring musician, I've learned thousands of songs, and they've all taught me something that stuck with me and helped me along the way. Mastering tunes makes us better players, and that's why every guitarist should learn Mouth for War by Pantera. Hey there kids, it's your good buddy Uncle Ben. Mouth for War by Pantera is a vulgar display of guitar power, and there's so much awesome stuff that you can add to your playing if you master this tune, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But you're going to get a whole lot more out of this video if you get your pull of the extended and ad-free cut that's only available on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Is it a Patreon page? Yes. Is it a cult? Maybe. Find out for yourself by signing up for as little as $1 a month to get access to that Bad Larry, as well as hundreds of other exclusive goodies over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. I'll see you there. Guitar-wise, I'm going to be playing this iconic guitar's Solana right here, which has everything that you need and nothing that you don't, with one single hamburger pickup in the bridge and a Floyd Rose kickstand. Made right here in the US of A for maximum musical impact. Now, one of the first things that we can learn from Dime is the power of solid-state technology. Back in the day, he was always playing through those solid-state Randall heads, and I feel like he was kind of ahead of his time considering so much of us now use digital amps, whether that's plug-ins or modelers or whatever. Now, I'm not exactly trying to replicate Dime's tone for this video, but to get a similarly tight, super high gain tone with lots of low end and really clear top end, I'm using the Fractal Audio Axe FX 3. This is a patch that I made today to go along with this video, and I'm going to put that up for download over on the Patreon page. Now, let's get into it. Quick note before we get into it, the song is in standard tuning, but slightly flat, a quarter step flat, as Dime and the guys typically did, for reasons I'm still not really sure about. Every time I make a Pantera video, I'm like, does anybody know why they tune that way? And down in the comment section, there's like 15 different answers, so who knows? I'm just going to be playing in regular standard tuning today because I figure more people probably have a standard tuned guitar laying around. So the song kicks off with that riff that walks us up to B, and there's a couple interesting things that we can learn here, both from a songwriting and a harmony perspective. So the song is mainly in the key of E, but as we just saw, it kicks off with that B right there. Now, there's a little bit of misinformation in the guitar world that I hear floating around a lot. People say, how do you know what key a song is in? And people will say, well, it's whatever chord it starts on. That is not true at all. And this song is a perfect example of that. So it's in E, but we're starting off on B. That's the 5 of that key, E, F, G, A, B. And the cool thing that happens right here is the resolution whenever we go from the 5 to something that centers around the 1 is always really satisfying. That's what they call a perfect cadence in classical music, and we hear that in music all the time. It's just something that human ears love to hear. It doesn't matter if it's in a major key or even in a minor key. That resolution is really nice and strong. So by starting the song off on the 5 chord, it really just sets us up for ultimate satisfaction when it takes us to E for the next riff. Second riff of the tune has those sliding power chords centered around E. Let's check this out. One thing that we learned from that is the comfort of a nice loose fit with your riffing. What I mean is he's not like super robotic in the way that he gets from the G to the B power chord. It's not like this. It's kind of like his hand is always in motion and never really lands exactly on either power chord. It's worth noting that all the different power chords that we're hearing right there outline an E minor triad. An E minor is made up of the notes E, G, B, and that's exactly the power chords that riff is made of. So it's kind of like a riff that illustrates the sound of a chord.
Awesome.
Now melodically, everything's been pretty straightforward so far, but the next riff definitely changes that. It's got a bunch of chromaticism, a bunch of ugly flat 5 stuff in there. It's one of the most sick riffs in the Pantera catalog. Yeah, easily one of my favorite riffs in metal history. Now, scale-wise, this doesn't really follow anything in particular. It's kind of like an E minor scale, but it's also got the flat 5 in there really predominantly. So it's kind of like E minor down here, and then just chromatic up here. It's kind of like if a mullet was a scale, you know, where it's business up front and party in the rear. That's kind of what this is like. Those harmonics, you really got to tag them with super aggressive upstrokes, and it's like a little past the 3rd fret, you know? You're like on fret 2.80-ish at that point if you really want to get those things to chime out right. So we got to talk about that really random odd meter thing that goes on here. It feels like the song skips a beat, right? Because they play through the riff, and then they got the 2 harmonic chimes, and then it's kind of this random pause before they get right back into the riff for the verse. What's going on right here is we've had all these measures of 4/4, and then there's a really sneaky measure of 3/8 in there. 3/8 is just going to be counted as 1 and 2, and that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the isolated guitar and bass tracks right there I was counting along with. It's really weird, and it's so syncopated that it still feels like it lands wrong after you have that measure of 3/8. But as you noticed, it lines up around beat number 2. I love that super off-kilter feeling like that. It's like you expect the riff to land on the downbeat, and it ends up landing just a little bit past it. Super unpredictable, makes that part way more brutal when it kicks in. So we got the verse, we got the pre-chorus, a chorus, another verse, another pre-chorus, another chorus, and then we get into the solo section of the song. And as usual here in the series, I'm going to shout out a cool key change because that's exactly what happens right here. Metal bands are really bad about writing in the key of whatever the lowest string is all the time, and just keep the song there the entire way through. Whenever it gets to the solo section right here, they jump up a major 3rd, all the way up to G sharp minor. A lot of us are out here struggling to get good vibrato on our solos, and Dime has like better vibrato than 99% of us in his rhythm playing. We'll talk more about his vibrato whenever we get to the solo section. So there's some chromatic moves in that riff. I see those as being very much based out of the G sharp blues scale. Him using that E in there is kind of like him using the minor 6, which kind of further asserts this in like G sharp minor territory. And then he ends the riff on the flat 5. How like much more metal can you get than that? And of course over this we have Dime's absolutely insanely sick lead playing. Let's talk about what's going on here. Yeah, that was like take 38 right there. My fingertips are cooked from doing all those bends and that vibrato and everything. It's so vicious the way that he attacks the guitar, but you gotta have that stuff if you want to make this sound right. It's really tempting to focus on the hard parts, the really fast run at the end of the solo or whatever, right? I see a lot of people that put all of their currency into the hard parts and they totally neglect the vibrato and the bends and stuff on the easy parts. Don't be that guy. That's like the equivalent of the guy at the gym that skips leg day and has this huge torso and these little tiny chicken legs. Don't be that guy. Focus on the vibrato, the bends, the sassy stuff. This is what makes us love Dime's playing. It's not just the chops. One thing I've got to point out here is that this entire guitar solo is double tracked. He tracked the entire solo, then he tracked it again, and it's buried a little bit lower beneath the main take right there. This is something that I think a lot of rock and metal guys say, oh, like Randy Rhoads did, right? Randy would multi-track those Ozzy solos all the time. But to me, when I hear Dime do it, you know what it reminds me more of? It reminds me more of like Skynyrd and Ted Nugent, like trashy southern rock stuff. A lot of the leads on those old records from the 70s, they'd be double tracked like that just to kind of fatten them up. And it has a really distinct, trashy southern sound to it to me. Maybe it's because I grew up here in the South and I've heard that stuff my entire life. But whenever I hear it, I don't hear Randy, I hear Skynyrd. The multi-tracking also makes all those bends and vibratos sound crazy. It makes them sound really chaotic because they're not exactly in tune all the time. He'll let them up and down at slightly different rates. And especially when he gets to that last fast repeating blues lick in there, the tracks aren't exactly super tight. It just kind of has this crazy wall of sound effect, like what we hear from Randy Rhoads. It's really cool, but it's impossible to replicate if you're just doing it on one guitar, obviously. So the first lick of the solo there starts off on G sharp, which is pretty logical considering that's the key that we just moved to. So he's really establishing that new tonality in our ears. And he outlines that with just a G sharp power chord, with that monster bend at the end of it. I think it's cool that he gets into that lick using that E major triad. That's where he's playing against the E, so it makes sense for him to outline that sound. Monster bend. It's like 1 3/4 step bend right there. It's not necessarily in tune. It's not really going to a particular note. It just sounds like he's strangling the shit out of the guitar, and it's awesome. Be sure to use the buddy system, never lift alone. I'm grabbing that note with my ring finger, and I'm using my first and second fingers here behind it to help push that string up. Again, using power chords in the solo. It's kind of an unusual approach right there. But he's just playing a little melody for us there using the B and C sharp power chords on the top 3 strings. And then he echoes back to the end of the last phrase and plays that E major arpeggio, only this time an octave higher. Now, with his vibrato, it's super wide and super aggressive. He was not a heavy string user. I'm playing 9s on this guitar today, and it just makes it a little bit easier to shake those ropes around. Now, whenever you do this vibrato, you got 2 different approaches. Dime did his vibrato with his fingers like this. This has never worked for me. I don't have strong enough digits to make that happen. This is one of those things that not a lot of people can get away with. Most of us, whenever we do vibrato with our fingers, it ends up sounding really narrow and shrill. Kind of that mosquito sound, which is the opposite of what Dime does. He has that really wide, really vicious vibrato. And so, yeah, somehow he managed to do that off of his fingers. That's not me personally. I like to go with this kind of locked position right here where the thumb is on the top of the neck and the base of the first finger is on the bottom part of the neck. And I'm swinging that door on a hinge like that. That's where the vibrato is coming from. That way it's my forearm moving the strings, not my fingers. This is a much bigger muscle than these are, so I prefer to use that whenever I can. But your mileage may vary. I'll give you a volume warning on the next part. This is going to get really screechy. He takes us up here to the 21st fret and just mangles this bend. I love this section right here. Check this out. One thing we can learn from this is the way that he doesn't take the bend all the way back down to neutral like this. That's what a lot of guitar players do, but it's not as like feral and dissonant sounding as what he does here. He lets it down not even an entire half step. It's really more like, I don't know, 2/3 of a step. Just kind of teasing at getting the note in tune and letting it down just a little bit to make it sound extra aggressive and tense. Now this stuff right here, that's those awesome Stevie Ray Vaughan style train wreck bends. I'm taking the high E up so much that the B string starts to catch underneath my finger too. So now I'm fretting both of them and I'm bending both of them and they're not in tune at all. That's especially evident on a Floyd Rose type bridge where when we bend it, the bridge, moves forward like that, knocks everything out of tune in the coolest way possible. And then we get to the most brutal part of the solo, which is that alternate picked run. This is really freaking hard. I had to do a million takes of this. This is great to help you with your alternate picking chops though and your phrasing ideas. This is a sequence lick. And I would say Dime probably picked this up from like Randy Rhoads. Randy did have a lot of sequence licks in his playing. It's really challenging, but if you divide it up into smaller sections, it becomes a lot easier to play. Take a listen here at stepdad speed and see if you can hear the patterns. Straight 16th notes at around 155 beats per minute. It's really freaking fast. You'll want to think of this as being two different phrases. Here's the first one. You can think of that as just being a straight run of 3, and then you're playing ascending 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now we left off with that C sharp note with our little finger. At this point, whenever you go back to the 14th fret for the B note, do that with your first finger. That's going to put you in the right position to play the next part of the lick. Again, basically just ascending 4s, except for the very end right there. So you have two different licks. I think it's just easier to divide and conquer like that than try to look at that as 32 notes in a row or whatever. I would try to learn the first 16 and then connect that to the next 16. Picking wise, Dime was an alternate picking and mixed alternate picking guy, meaning he'd use some legato in there. He never really was much of a economy picking kind of player, so I wouldn't try to attack it with that unless you're just amazing at that stuff. I know that's not really my forte. So I just alternate picked my way through it. Now, whenever you're doing that, you got to be really conscious about all the exit strokes because this is a mixed bag. This isn't like one of my favorite licks where we only exit on upstrokes or exit on downstrokes only. This is totally mixed. So you really want to master that inside and outside picking approach. A couple weeks ago here on my channel, I put up a string skipping workout. This can really help you with that because it targets all the inside and outside string changing possibilities. So be sure to check that one out and use the practice tracks that are available on patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. So at the end of that phrase, he lands in this last G sharp blues scale frenzy. Let's check this out. This is a really awesome repeating Ace Frehley on crack kind of lick. I do like to sneak a little bit of economy picking in. That can help you with those really fast licks that are on the top right there, because it's kind of like two different phrases. I found that doing that picking pattern right there, down, up, makes it a lot easier to nail that. And again, you're hearing the power of a bend that goes a little bit too far right there. If he was bending up to the next note in the scale, it would be like that. It'd be a whole step up, right? To reach the C sharp note. He takes it way past it. That's the Van Halen influence in Dime's playing right there. These over bends, these things that take it well beyond the realms of being in key or in scale or proper or whatever. This is legit rock and roll shit that doesn't color inside the lines. It's a freaking awesome solo. Pretty hard to play with that fast run in there, but not too bad. It's also one of the only Dime solos that doesn't abuse the bar, so if you're playing this on a hardtail, you can still do it. After that, we got the outro of the song, which stays in G sharp and adopts kind of a double time feel. Heavy as shit, and he doesn't even use like the low E in it at all. Goes to show you it's not about tuning, it's about tude. So he's got that sliding riff. And then he's got the fast 16th note riff where he starts using some dyads in here. These are minor dyads. We're going to be using a root note and a minor third, the note 1.5 steps above it. It's kind of like a power chord shape, but flipped upside down, you know? Okay, so is it just me? I always thought that there was like a major BPM shift right here in the song. I thought that it like ramped up, 15 BPM or something, but it actually doesn't. It just goes to show you how you can really drive a song forward or pull it back depending on where those rhythmic accents are. So earlier in the song, we're playing, riffs like that. It was very kind of eighth note based. And the snare was on 2 and 4, like it's typical in rock and metal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when it gets to this section, obviously, metrically, we're basing this on 16th notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. But the way that Vinny starts placing his snare on the upbeats instead, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it really changes the rhythmic feel. Check it out. If you're playing eighth notes with snare on 2 and 4, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That same BPM as 16ths with that snare on the ups. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It sounds and feels way faster even though you haven't even moved a click on the metronome. That's that total package of Dime and Vinny working together to really push the song into a more aggressive direction. Awesome song, packs tons of cool ideas into a pretty compact package, great short solo, killer riffs, and so much attitude. So there you go, guys, a breakdown of a Pantera classic, but I'm sure that there are many more tunes of theirs that we're going to cover here on this series. Let me know down in the comments section what Pantera song you think everybody should learn. Be sure to check out the ad-free and extended cut of this video over on the Patreon page at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. It's also going to get you access to hundreds of bonus goodies that you don't want to miss out on, so don't delay, sign up today, even for just $1 a month. Thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. As you go through your week, let's be good to each other out there. Keep a good thought, do something positive, make somebody's day, buy somebody a cup of coffee or something. Small things add up to making the world a better place, and it starts with you and me. Now, get away from the computer machine, grab that rock guitar, start mashing some rope. Less clicking, more picking.